First off, we got to start with some amazing news. The massive congrats to the Diablo 4 team, as they've just announced that Diablo 4 is the fastest selling game in the company's history. Now, whatever the heck that means, however you want to take it, it's still exciting news, and congratulations for the team working so hard on this masterpiece. Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is Brian. If you happen to be new around here, if you're a returning subscriber, you already know that Diablo 4 is pretty much absolutely worth it. But for those of you who are still on the fence, let's break it down. Let me give you guys hopefully everything that you need to know. And if you're coming in from the short, thank you so much for following that link and hopefully hitting that like button. But regardless, let's dive in. Diablo 4 is worth it, guys. If you like games, especially. However, if you also like to complain about games, you're also going to have plenty of things to be upset about, because Blizzard is no short or slouch when it comes to pissing off gamers and different controversies. But beyond the company and beyond people's religious beliefs about video games and culture, let's talk about actually what you're going to get in Diablo 4. Gameplay, absolutely top notch. This is Diablo the way that I always envisioned it. If you're coming from Diablo 3, if Diablo 3 was your first Diablo, note there's going to be a couple of key differences. It will feel a little bit on the slower side, but as you power up, honestly, that completely just disappears. You got so many ways of travel, you got the mounts, you got so much more. Honestly, I think it's just kind of a little bit slower to start, but that's not to hold it back. You're going to put so many hours into this game that I think ultimately you're just going to kind of forget that Diablo 3 exists. Let's just be real. This feels like the natural evolution from Diablo 2. You're welcome to disagree with me, but this feels like a real evolution in what they've been going for tonally, in the theme, how the color palette just kind of pops, and not in a oh my gosh, the colors are so amazing. I mean, like, pops in an immersive way. Perhaps pops is the wrong word, but since I've used it 3 times, we'll move on. All right, story absolutely crushes it, guys. I'm enjoying the story. I hope that you are too. I think the voice acting, and this is Blizzard when it comes to their, especially their cinematics, they really knock it out of the park. But I think overall, from the cinematics to where we've seen games and the visuals evolve within the core game, what you're actually playing, it doesn't feel like it takes me out of the world, where something like back in the day where Diablo 2 jumping into the cinematics, like, you never felt like that was the same thing. Maybe you can, maybe you disagree. I'd be curious if you do, but we can kind of talk about that in the comments. Now, social aspects, I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10. The absolute ease of jumping into parties, having clans, and these features are there. Couple questions that I have though, because this is going to get into the a little bit more monetization. I'm not feeling monetized at all, but obviously we're still waiting for season 1 to officially start. When it comes to games as a service, and not that this is a true games as a service, it almost in a way could act as a hybrid, right? We're going to have the seasonal pass. We know that expansions are coming, but it doesn't feel like the game is trying to actively keep you in this game year over year for the next 10 years, which a games as a service really is trying to model that to some degree. But that being said, I'm not feeling hyper monetized too yet. However, you always see the store. Like, the store is going to always be present. So it's going to be neat to see in the long run from a financial perspective if this ends up becoming a game that every year they have an expansion or every 2. Those are still the unknowns. And the reason why I bring that up is especially tied to the monetization is that with games that are online, they can always get updated. We've seen Activision Blizzard do this with Call of Duty in the past. So I'm not going to sit here and praise them for the monetization, because in 10 months or 10 minutes, it could always change. But at its core, for what it is and what it offers right now at the time of this recording, honestly, I think they knocked it out of the park. It is a game that you want to play. It's not free to play, so they don't have to go do all these random things. It does have a bigger box cost, and we'll talk about that in the final part of this review here in just a second. The best thing about this game for me right now is the fact this runs on Steam Deck. Now, I put out a guide, and it's actually currently unlisted because I don't really have the proper capture equipment for Steam Deck. I had something, it broke, and I didn't have the money to replace it. So I filmed it with my camera, and it has a couple of focus issues. So I kind of unlisted it because it's not the most visually quality, but if you guys are interested and need help getting it set up on Steam Deck, check out that unlisted video. You'll find it on the channel page. It is in the playlist. But also you can check it out. You can get, if you need help, DM's open, Discord's open. We're here for you. All the links are in the description if you want to play this game on Steam Deck, because it is absolutely a game changer, especially for me. I've literally spent 90% of my game time on Steam Deck, and the rest has been spent on PC. PC's experience, whether I'm ultra wide or not, absolutely fantastic, and the handheld experience, absolutely fantastic. So that kind of really is kind of the big hitting notes that I wanted to give you guys, because now we're talking about the loot. Awesome. I'm actually really enjoying the pace of loot. I'm enjoying some of the options it gives me for loot in terms of sound. Would I like a loot filter? Yes, absolutely. And if you guys don't know what that is that it has a loot sound filter so that it makes the sound that you get excited about whenever loot drops, but you can set that for rarity. It doesn't let you filter out the stuff that you don't want, because at some point I don't care about the grays or the magic. Like, just give me, like, I only really want to see maybe a certain type. That would be a nice feature that for them to add, but I think that's going to be coming down the line as more and more loot-based games are adding that kind of control. But the classes, guys, for me, this is my Diablo. This is the classes that I think really kind of bring it all together or round it all out. And yes, there are classes that people are favorite that are not here. Like, you think the Paladin, you think the Crusader, well, like any number, right? There's several that they could draw down from. I think that's the hope of whether it's a yearly expansion or an every 2-year expansion. I think that's the hope for kind of bringing Diablo back into the kind of the more mainstream forefront and getting them further and further away from the mess and the chaos that was Diablo Immortal. So just keep bringing the game out, don't make it completely about seasons, but also make it about seasons and expansions. Seasons as a way to kind of monetize the in-between, and expansions to continue to make it, hey guys, it's Diablo season, in that respect. So let's talk about it. Let's bring it all down. I don't like doing numbered reviews, and I know that upsets some of you guys but you can go look at Metacritic if you want to validate your purchase. That's usually what a lot of people do. If you've already purchased the game and you're watching this review, I love you. I'm not judging you. We all do it. If you haven't bought the game, sound off in the comments below, because I'd like to have a good understanding of how many people are actually watching this with a credit card in hand, waiting for me to say, go ahead and purchase it. So I would say go ahead and purchase it. But in terms of price, right? Like, if you try to factor in dollar per hour of fun, you're definitely going to get your $70 worth. If you're going to spend any money on credit, I wouldn't do that. Like, when it comes down to video games and using credit cards, you're talking about paying even more money to a bank so that they can get rich and loan that money out and get rich again. I would highly recommend that as long as you got the $70, it's absolutely worth the price. Should you upgrade to the higher tier version? That's usually just like, if you want to treat yourself, and again, if you have the money. But yeah, this is one of those great games. This is a great game this year that I can actually recommend it at the asking price. There's a lot of hype tax in these kind of games. And yeah, there's definitely hype in this regards. If you do wait, you will probably be able to get the game at a discount. However, I do think that based off the sales and the numbers alone, you're not going to see that number drop as fast as you do see with other video games. So this is a total own recommendation, whether you're playing it on console or PC, because we're all together, baby. There's no walls here. You can play with your friends, even if they don't have a PC or even if they don't have a console. It's just that good. Thanks guys so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that I see you in the next one. But until then, take care.